Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 12:57 p.m. on the 21st of November 2025, Friday. Shabbat Shalom this evening to those of you who follow or adhere to or culturally attenuate to the Jewish faith. It's a very humid, hot day. I'm opening up my sesame snaps, it's a crackling. And very, very hot, but I've had a shower and washed my hair and feel human again, although it's very, very hot. But I brought my birdie boys outside because nice days they should be outside. And yes, I had very intense dreams this morning. I wrote about them on Facebook, which I can't share them because I film on my iPhone now. When I could film on my laptop, I could read to you my Facebook writings, but can't multitask like that anymore. And it's a bit annoying actually. But anyway, it is what it is. Things break down over time, and I break down over time, and yet mysteriously life keeps rolling on, people of Earth. Yeah, I don't really have, I could tell you a bit about the dream, but I've already discussed it this morning. I don't really want to dwell on that consciousness, but I dreamt of my former sister-in-law, so it was a bit intense. And in the dream, she was acting as though we had somehow become friendlier or on friendly terms. And the astonishing part of the dream is I was standing outside these old post-war cottages similar style to mine. The whole street was lined with them, both sides of the street. Looked a little bit like Kulata Street, to be honest, which is where my former temple used to be. It still is, but I don't go there anymore. Although that's probably been gentrified over time. So knocked down the old homes and put up modern day mausoleums that are so hollow and shittily built that they echo. But anyway, I should take a drive down there just out of curiosity to see if the neighbourhood's been gentrified there too. I'm sure it has, because it's happening all around me here. It's nice sometimes to look at the modern homes and they're all a bit flash and glamorous, darlings, but what is a home but the people that reside therein, and the energy they bring to it, and their own personal style and their own ancestral spirits and their own attitudes and beliefs. Can tell a lot about a person's home sometimes just by standing outside, not even stepping into it. But anyway, in the dream there were two moons. I went out to tell this family that were residing there that were in a bit of a hubbub because they were expecting an influx of a large family coming to stay with them, and they were frantically cooking and preparing, and there was that energy of excitement and anticipation, but also nervousness and being a bit frantic actually, hoping there's enough food and that kind of energy of distress, which I picked up on in the dream. But I stepped outside the home and I looked up, and there were two moons, our normal full moon and another equally full moon standing kind of at a 30-degree angle to it, and it was odd. And I looked at it, and then the second moon was had kind of an orangey glow, and it's all pixelated like sparkling little orangey glowing lights. I didn't actually write that explicitly in my Facebook status today, so it's probably good that I went into more detail here on YouTube. But anyway, while I was looking at the two moons and someone came out, I said, look up at the sky, there's two moons. We all looked in amazement. And it moved. The second moon changed position, tilted slightly. It was very astonishing. Even in the dream, I was astonished. And then my former sister-in-law came out and stood beside me, and we both looked up at it. She said to me, "We always thought you were crazy believing in UFOs and the paranormal." I nodded. I said, "I know." And I said, "Not so crazy after all, am I? Even in the dream, I'm validating myself with that bitch." Oh, she was evil to me. She really was. Not so much her, actually. The worst was her husband. They were both rotten and putrescent and demonic infested. They really were greedy and selfish and entitled and narcissistic. I've got nothing good to say about them. 40 years later, nothing good. They were so vicious to me and by extension my daughters, although my daughters were babies at the time. Her husband screaming at me in my newborn baby's nursery because they'd robbed my dead mother-in-law, who wasn't yet dead, of all her diamonds and jewels, and I complained about it. They even took a gold wedding band off her finger. A widow, an elderly, vulnerable widow. They even took that. It was that disgusting. So I arced up about it. I thought it was a terrible, awful thing to do to an old lady. And the argument ensued. They tried to give me some costume jewellery. I said, "I don't need costume jewellery. My mother runs a costume jewellery business. She sells it, constantly. If I want something, I think I've even bought these from my mother. I buy them from her." And I was insulted because they didn't even leave a nice piece of jewellery, one piece each, for my baby daughters as a bit of an inheritance. But it wasn't the point. I said to them, "You don't divvy up her jewellery while she's still alive, for the love of all the gods. You can wait till she dies." But they couldn't wait, could they? They were that venal. Anyway, that's what the fight was about. And I was correct in my argument that it was venal and greedy and corrupt to take an old lady's bits of bloody jewellery off her and rob her while she was still yet alive. They couldn't wait to get their claws into her house and her money, and they didn't value her as a person at all. So in the dream, I'm saying to Shirley was her name. I'm saying to her, "Your mother is here. I can feel her spirit very powerfully." And Shirley just looked at me and went, "Yes, I sense her on occasion too," which was interesting that she acknowledged that. And then I repeated it again later in the dream and said, "Your mother is most definitely here." But then it got weird. My former sister-in-law takes me into the house where all the family are all involved in this great hullabaloo, preparing some kind of feast for some kind of occasion. And it didn't feel like it was a funeral wake or anything like that. They were stressed, but they weren't in grief. And my sister-in-law, I suggested they bring in, hire or buy one of those big urns that boil water for catering for cups of tea and coffee for large amounts of people, which was something in real life Shirley actually did have. When she catered, she had this big urn, and it was I always thought that was a brilliant idea. So anyway, so I'm telling the people to get one of those urns, and Shirley came in and concurred, And then she takes me into this living room to a sideboard and opens up the cupboard and shows me two gold, what look like pate knives, the sort of the curved, roundish, long, oblong kind of shape. Not as long as a butter knife, but you know what a pate knife is, do you, people of Earth? Anyway, they were gold, but I didn't assume that they were real gold. And Shirley said, I've given it all away except for these last two, and I want you to have them. And I didn't want to accept gifts from her, because accepting gifts from enemies is like accepting gifts from a Trojan horse. There's always a contract and blood associated with it, or they'll throw it in your face later on down the track, or there'll be some viciousness connected to it. So I've learnt over many decades to be very wary of who gifts me and what their true intentions are behind it. So this comes up in the dreamscape, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I just laughed and I said something along the lines of, I don't need pate knives, Shirley. And then she looked at me and she said, they're solid gold and I want you to have them. I said, what would I do with pate knives? She said, you'll melt them down and you'll turn them into jewellery, which I would in real life if I had real gold that I didn't like in its current form. I'd just transmute it into another form, like a ring or pendant or something, you know. So I looked at her and I thought, how does she know that I can now melt down gold and silver and that I can make things into jewellery? She couldn't possibly know that. So I looked at her a bit astonished, and I could see genuine heartfelt sincerity in her eyes. I want you to have them, she said. So I reluctantly but gratefully accepted the gold pate knives. And when I woke up, I thought, I wonder if she's died or is about to die soon. I put it more delicately in Facebook. I said transition from this 3D body in this 3D world into the next dimension. And I wonder, actually I do wonder, because she'd be 80 maybe. Trying to think how old my ex-husband is. His birthday was in September. He'd be 71 now, and I think she was 8 years older than him. Yeah, she'd be 79 or 80, I'm not exactly sure. And their eldest brother is 12 years older than my ex-husband, so that puts him at 83. So, you know, they're getting long in the tooth, people of Earth. Not that, don't get me wrong, I don't wish them dead, and I certainly don't want or desire or even in my wildest nightmares dream about receiving any gifts or anything from them. They gave me nothing but grief for many, many years, and trauma activation and savagery, so fuck them, am I right? And it's an ancient memory, dreaming of her from 40 years ago. But the odd thing is, she looked exactly as she did 40 years ago, how I remember her. Of course, she'd look like a little old lady now, wouldn't she? Maybe. She's quite wealthy and always drives the latest Mercedes and lives in this opulent netherworld of unreality, of obscene wealth garnered by greed and corruption and selfishness. Although, to be fair, she did work hard as a hairdresser in her younger years. She always worked. I'll give her credit for that. But, you know, the lascivious, perverted greed when my mother-in-law was frail and, you know, not even terminal yet, but weakening and vulnerable. I'll never forget that. Never in a million years will I forget that. So all the wealth. Oh, and then she demanded, you know, as my father-in-law, her own biological father, as he was dying, she demanded he get up, and he was literally terminal. He had weeks to live. She demanded he get up out of the bed and make her a mink coat, a mink fur cape, I think, cape it was. She must have always wanted one, and she had mink coats. He'd given her things before, you know, get up and make me a mink cape, Dad. I don't know if it was some kind of family in-joke or what that was about, but the look of horror on his face, I'll never forget that as long as I live. He's dying, and all she wanted him to do was get up and work and make her a mink cape. He was a furrier by profession. It was his initial trade, and then he went on to make modular furniture. So he was a very talented man, my father-in-law, and he was a good and hard-working, and as far as I can tell, a decent man. He'd always been decent towards me. One of the few men in my life that had actually been decent, and why I still carry his family name, even though I divorced his lackluster, dull intellect, selfish, boring, useless, greedy, backstabbing, vicious son. I divorced him in 1996, left the marriage in 1995. So nearly 31 years I've been free of that man. But I keep his father's name in honour of the fact that his father paid off not one but two houses, was determined that I have prosperity and safety and comfort and ease, and he could not have envisaged how vicious that all his children would become shortly after his death. So vicious that he wasn't even dead for 1 hour when my brother-in-law, Shirley's husband, went scavenging through the house for the collections of whiskey that my father-in-law had stockpiled for decades. That's how I found out I was marrying. The wedding wasn't until the Sunday, but this was the Friday night. That's how I found out what kind of people I was marrying into. But I justified it in my mind, thinking, oh well, that's my brother-in-law's greed and venality. It's got nothing to do with the rest of them. Denial's a long river in Africa, people of Earth. A long, long, dry, Ezekiel connected them dry bones. Long, long river. Anyway, in the dream I went back to the house, which was across the road but down one. The dream made a point of showing me that, going across and to the left. And I go in there and I tell all my, I don't even know who the people were in that house actually. I tell them, I said, if you go outside you're going to see 2 moons. It's amazing. And the family across the road are frantic, I said. They need to hire or buy one of those big urns for boiling water. And then I kind of woke up, people of Earth. I slept till 10 o'clock, after 10:16 this morning. I worked on my spinning fleece, putting socks, little tufts of fur into the alpaca and spinning it till 2:22 exactly. I was so tired, and when I looked at my iPhone and saw the time, I was like, wow, Tanya, psychedelic dreamer. No wonder you can barely stand up and get up and move. My hands are still sore from it. But I went off to bed and woke up a few hours later, around about 4 or 5, I can't remember the exact time, busting to pee, and went back to sleep and slept till 10. So I only had 1 pee break last night. That's a start, people of Earth. It's improving. I've had a bad trot of it the last few weeks. It's been very debilitating. But onwards and upwards, getting better in my mind, body and spirit. Sometimes it's a case of mind over matter more than anything. And but I'm interested that I dreamt of my sister-in-law appearing to me as the age I knew her, which in those days she was around about 43, 42, 43. Yeah, I'll probably receive news. News does usually come back to me, filters back to me, but I don't know from whom because I'm not in contact with any members of that family now, including my own daughters. So I don't know how I'll get news about that, but I guess if Crystal finds out about it, she'll mention it to Jared. Jared will mention it to me, but I haven't heard much from him in recent weeks. I'm deliberately not reaching out to people, because they don't bother with me. I'm not going to bother with them. I'm just going to snip, snip, snip and watch people drift now. Like ever diminishing ice floes of polar bears in the Arctic, am I right? Watch them drift and let them sink without me. It's like, if you don't put in any effort, you don't want to be part of my life. What am I clawing onto you like a needy, drowning person for? You're not there for me. You don't, keep your word with me. You don't turn up to my Halloween when you promised. That was another friendship long gone now. Not long gone, but from last month. I'm untethered that one. Don't show any real commitment to me or loyalty to me. Sayonara, sweethearts. And I don't actually care anymore. I'm done. I'm done being, everyone else's emotional whipping post so they can feel good about themselves and go home feeling wonderful and healed and great and drain me. And then I ask for one thing from them, No. Just no. And, the same goes for my friend Jared. He's been doing this since 2022, being distant and flubbery and aloof drama. And last time we spoke a couple of weeks ago, he says, we'll catch up soon, we'll do something nice together soon. Haven't heard from him since. So lies to me too. I see that as a form of lying, when you know someone loves you and looks forward to spending time with you, and you lie about that to their face. Well, anyway, time will go by and he'll realise he hasn't heard from me, and he'll ring me up, and what usually happens, I pick up where we left off because he's like family to me, and so was the other friend, but when families turn rancid and toxic and disingenuous and lie to my face constantly, not just little lies like, we'll catch up soon, we'll hang out together, but the bigger lies, the much bigger lies. And then they expect me to be stupid and silent and stupefied and live in denial about it. No, hell no. I don't ever lie to them, and I don't wish ever to have people in my life constantly, blatantly lie to me either. Live your life in lies. It's a shadow life and a half life, and a life that for me is simply not worth investing in or giving time or breath or energy to, and so I'm quite happy to carry on alone, people of Earth. It's not so bad. In fact, it's actually kind of a relief and a release, holding on emotionally to people who have nothing to offer you except for lies and deception and dumping on me constantly, and the viciousness about their husband and the viciousness about, I'm just done. Sorry, but I'm done. I knew when I was listening to that viciousness over the past few years, I thought, this person isn't trustworthy. She would lie and be vicious behind my back too. And Halloween proved it, using her own grandchild in that way. Evil. It's the only word to describe it. It's funny how I had the number plate Ouija board the night before when we were going to that function. 666 Omar, and I thought, oh God, please God, don't let my mother invade the ghost stories or invade my life in any way. No, it was a different grandma. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. The people I have kept close in my life are decades, people of Earth, that actually on some level hated me or were envious of me, sabotaged me. It's astonishing. It's as astonishing as seeing two moons in the sky to find out that people you loved and were loyal to and stood by no matter what, no matter how, were that disingenuous. But here we are. Another day in paradise, people of Earth. Chapter 17. I'm not crying, my eyes actually itchy. I started to feel like crying, and then I thought, no, don't shed one tear over people that literally psychic vampirized me, fed off all the drama and chaos, and then rejected me when they got better friends. I think that's what hurts the most, actually. Wow. Let her be with her better friends and be happy. And she said, I just want to be happy. After dumping on me for years. That fake illness, she said, the doctor said there was nothing wrong with her. After telling me how extremely in pain she was, she gets told there's nothing wrong with her. There's another lie there. I've been told more lies. But at the end of the day, it's not my monkey, not my circus. I think we might get rain soon. It's very humid today. Even Bo's just sitting up there with his little eyes closed. Right. Chapter 17. Joe had found his employment contract and had gone back to see his lawyer. He took the finding of the contract as some kind of turning point in his luck, but it wasn't. It turned out that, technically, he wasn't actually employed by the firm he had been working for. Instead, he was contracted to another company, which his lawyer suspected probably held a contract with the stockbroking firm he'd been working for. I've never heard of this other company, the company I'd signed a contract with. Can you believe it? It doesn't matter, I said. If your lawyer can find an angle, what do they call it? A cause of action? I think they call it that. Then you can sue the other company. I've already thought of that. I asked him if I could sue the other company, but he said it was a shelf company. What does that mean exactly? It's a $2 company. Even if you sue it and win, it doesn't have any assets. There's no point suing it. So you can't sue the real firm because you didn't have a contract with it, and the other company, the one you did have a contract with, doesn't have any money? That's what he's telling me. I'm sorry I recommended you see a lawyer. He's probably going to charge you for this. Yeah, right. See how fast I pay. Anna, there's something I've got to tell you and you're not going to like it. Tell me anyway. Look, Anna, if I could hold off telling you, I would. But I know you're going to leave me anyway. You've got another woman, other than not just Angelique. No, it's got nothing to do with that. I wish it did. Yeah, I bet you do. Oh, for Christ's sake, Anna. You kiss her. You pay your money. You kiss her. God knows where you kiss her. And then you come home and kiss. Anna, how long has it been since you kissed me? Since we kissed each other? Sam, you fucking bastard. What do you mean, Sam? What about him? You come home from her once a week and you kiss him goodnight. Do you know where your Simon has been? I haven't seen him for 10 years. I'll tell you one place he's been. He's been with her. He's been with her too. So, add it up, Anna. He's as filthy as I am, and just as unfaithful. That's your teacher for you. But you didn't deny him the way you denied me. He had no cause to see her or anyone like her, whereas I had you. And if I'm unfaithful, so is he, and so are you. And if I'm unclean, so is he. And then, of course, so are you. And you come home and you kiss Sam goodnight too. So don't stand there all fucking holier than thou like you're Our Lady of the stuck-up virgin bitches because you're no fucking better than me. Except that you've got a job. You'll get one, Joe. Do you want to hear what I'm trying to tell you? We need money. We're going to have to get some money pretty quickly. We can tighten our belts for a while till you get a good job. I need one hell of a good job, and quickly. You'll get a job, Joe, but you've got to stop putting all your eggs in one basket. I've no idea what that means, but your whole idea of yourself, your self-esteem, is entirely dependent on how much money you've got. No more than anyone else's. That's not true. I'm not like that. Oh, Anna, come on. You're not serious. Fucking golden pate like knives from that bitch. What's wrong with my brain, people of Earth? I do like pate, however. Maybe the dream's telling me I need iron to eat pate. Oh, Anna, come on. You're not serious. You married me for money for a start. That's not true. You didn't have much when I met you. No, not a lot. But you took a chance because you knew I was going places. And sooner or later, you'll be able to live very, very well. No, you're wrong, Joe. Money has never been that important to me. Yes, it's nice to be able to live well, but, well, I'm glad you feel that way, because we're probably going to lose the house. What are you talking about? We own the house. No, we don't. We haven't paid off the mortgage. And since I lost my job, I'm not going to be able to keep up the payments for very long, unless something very good comes up pretty quickly. How long have we got? I don't know. It depends. Not long. I don't know. I'll have to work some things. Oh, sorry, I'm still on. Well, how long? What does it depend on? I don't know. I'll have to work some things out. I'll have to sell everything. But even then, it's just a matter of time. All the credit cards are maxed out. Well, mine anyway. Paying for prostitutes will do that to you. He's a self-destructive little fucker, isn't he? Ah, well. The WEF playbook. You will own nothing and you will be happy. They did that to me back in 1994. It really started working at me, grinding me down. Well, you gotta laugh. I am kind of happy now. The best revenge, people of Earth, is happiness in your sacred space garden with your little birdie boys that someone very kindly gifted me, and fresh air and a modicum of freedom, even if it's a bit illusory. Almost debt-free, almost, and I keep booking it back up a little bit each time for things I really, need or think I need. I'm doing better at 60 years old than I ever was, even when I was wealthy in my marriage. Ironic, isn't it? Really ironic. Golden pate knives. Spread your paste so slickly on hot buttered toast. Fuck off. Fuck off, subconscious. No, I am certain. I often dream of people when they've died or are about to die. I'm not pointing the bone at her. I've got no enmity towards her really anymore. I couldn't care one way or the other. I don't wish her dead, but I will receive news, mark my words. I will. I always do. Might not mean that she's died though. It might mean someone connected to her might try and make contact with me, which would not be wise given how I feel about that family now, but I've been praying for my own daughters to come back to me, so maybe that's the dream, is laterally, put her in as a protagonist, ally character, because she certainly was never an ally of mine, that's for sure, not in the real world, but sometimes dreams do that. The family all frantic and het up and hectic and in a state of kind of, distress, frantically throwing meals together. It reminds me of my daughter's bat mitzvahs and how they were sabotaged. Well, the first one anyway. They didn't dare sabotage Jasmine's, but then half the people didn't turn up, and I'd catered for, everyone in that temple and all the invitees. So half the people not turning up was an actual insult and left me with a lot of food left over, and I was not in a financial position to afford that amount of wastage, people of Earth. It was evil what they did to me. Anyway, how old is my youngest daughter now? 38. No. Oh yes, 38, because she was born in 87. Well, there you go. 38 and a half. Her bat mitzvah happened when she was 13. "25 fucking years I've carried that memory. I'll be glad when I transition and all memories die with me. I really will. Hopefully it all just disappears like vapour." Right. All the credit cards are maxed out, mine anyway. That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. You're talking about using your credit cards to make mortgage repayments? How long do you think you can keep doing that? Not long, that's what I'm telling you. But we own the house. Yes, I thought we owned our house too, that it was freehold. Then he bought that business and ran it into the ground out of sheer, utter, unmedicated spite. Spite and viciousness. Cut his own throat. What's the saying? Cut off his own nose to spite his own face. Hilarious, ultimately. Did it to himself. What an idiot. It was a good business. He should have treated me with basic courtesy and respect, if nothing else, but no, had to constantly be a pig. Cost him everything. He blames me, but the blame actually resides with himself. Even my staff were exposed to that bad behaviour. Ah well, that was also back in 1995. Long time ago, and I'm busy frantically making jewellery and trying to get myself into equilibrium, and it's absurdist and ridiculous and gives me breakdowns because it's too little too late. I don't have the energy or the resources. I have plenty of time, but I don't have the financial resources to ever get myself established now. And that's something that they implemented back in 1995. Fucked me a beauty, for the very bad fucking, by the way. If I had my time over again, dear goddess. Well, no good thinking about that now. Ancient histories. Right, so where were we? Here she says again, we own the house. Anna, do you have any idea of anything? What do you think our equity is in this place? I don't know. You don't want to know. Joe, I want to know. How do you think it was we could just move in here overnight into a place like this near the beach with all these bathrooms and empty fucking bedrooms waiting to be filled by the kids we never had or the kids we had who died? How much? How much what? How much is our equity in the house? We'd be lucky if we owned 25% of it ourselves. Oh my God. That's why the repayments are so high. Is there someone you can talk to? Who can I talk to? Jesus? But you know so many people in investment, in the finance industry. Can you talk to someone at the bank? Anna, I don't have a job. How can I talk to them if I don't have a job? What can I possibly offer them? I have a job. Do you want me to talk to someone at the bank? You can't talk to someone at the bank. Why the hell not? Because I'm a woman? Joe, this is no time for macho. Anna, for Christ's sake, don't give me that feminist bullshit now. Why can't I talk to someone at the bank? Because your name is not even on the title. The house and the mortgage, it's all in my name. Joe, what are you saying? Well, what did you think, Anna? You think I'm an idiot when I can't find the stupid contract? Do you remember signing anything at the time we bought this place? No. Anything at all? No. Well now, how big an idiot are you? Think yourself lucky you're not responsible for the debt. What? My father gives us the deposit for the house and you go and put it in your name, not both our names? Is that what you're telling me? Yes. So he was untrustworthy even back then, people of Earth. Dishonouring, untrustworthy, and a dog. You're a fucking bastard, Joe, and you've got the gall to tell me you were doing me a favour. I'm not that much of an idiot. Don't you think I know the debt is covered by the house, not by you? Jesus, you're despicable. Well, when wasn't I, Anna? Is there anything we actually own outright? Just my car. Your car? What about my car? Do you remember paying for that? Remember signing anything? I bought it for you. I thought it all came out of our joint account. It did. I put down the deposit and all the payments came out of the joint account. That's where my salary goes, into the joint account, I said incredulously. Then you were helping to pay off your car? It worked out better tax-wise, believe me. Joe, you're a fucking bastard. Yeah? You didn't think so till I lost my job. I just didn't say it. No, well, you didn't say it till I lost my job. What about all those shares? You used to brag about making money from following your own advice. What about them? I borrowed to buy them. You're not responsible for that debt either. Look, I know you're going to leave me sooner or later, and I know that losing the house isn't going to. We're not going to lose the house, Joe. There's my salary. What about that? It'll take more than your salary. Look, you can't expect me to have the answer straight away. You just dumped this news on me. Well, I couldn't think of a gentle way of telling you we're going to lose the house. Let me think about it. Just let me. We'll figure something out. Chapter 18. At work it occurred to me to try to get through to Donald Share myself. A call from me might be unexpected enough to excite his curiosity. I tried a number of times over the next few days, but my cards were all fielded by minions skilled in doing just that. While I was at it, I tried calling Michael again to similar effect. Surprisingly, my failure to get through to either was less distressing than I would have thought. Somehow the loss of the lover I never really had was being palliated by the impending loss of the house I never really had, and vice versa. The total pain was proving to be less than the pain of either of them alone. For all that, I was curious about what it was that had turned Michael off like that. Was it that he didn't want to be involved with someone whose family was suddenly helping to sell his patients' tabloids? Was he really so unaccustomed to, and therefore so furious with me for standing him up? Could his pride not tolerate coming second not to my husband, but to my kidnapped son? Or, I don't think I like this top, it shows off too much of my bra. I hate things that show off my bra. Also, it's brown. I don't like brown. Well, it's a mustardy, yellowy brown. It's awful. Why am I wearing it, people of Earth? I won't ever wear it again. I probably will. It's actually quite cool because it's a nice little gingham, cotton thing, but sorry, distracted by my discomfort over my top. Or did the news of the kidnapping only confirm his worst suspicions, that I had been seeing someone else all along, and that someone, Simon, had been caught in sordid circumstances, taking my son from school? Michael Gardiner would not have wanted any part of that. Was it that, or was it a little of everything? Or did he just find someone else with a pancake flat stomach, someone younger? And was it crepe flat? Joe busied himself selling shares he had originally borrowed to pay for, and applying the proceeds to repay other loans in order to get more credit, and so on, in a desperate and admittedly enervating attempt to delay our day of final reckoning. It accompanied so much of his time and thought that he was, in a sense, able to justifiably claim exhaustion as an excuse for not looking for another job. He told me to trust him, which did not really mean that he wanted my trust. It was too late for him to really mean that. Kumi! What he meant was that he didn't want me to bother him while he rearranged the deck chairs on the Titanic. What you doing, Kumi? You're a little handsome birdie, aren't you? Yes, you are, my little handsome birdie. Any suggestion that he look for a job, however quietly and sympathetically offered, was regarded as carping and treated as a casus belli. The first of the Simon-related legal proceedings, the one they called the committal hearing, was approaching. Joe and I were forced to spend time with Simon's prosecutors so that they might get our stories straight. We were warned that when the hearing started, the press interest in us, in my alleged relationship with Simon, and in Joe's relationship with the prostitute Angelique, would intensify. It was against this background that I went to see my father. I chose a time I knew my mother would be out. She went shopping every Monday, Wednesday and Friday morning. It was a vocation. Food had to be fresh, she insisted. My father was delighted to see me, but was disappointed I had come without Sam. Where is my grandson? Where is Sam? He's at school, Dad. It's a school day. I have something to talk to you about. Is something wrong? Is it Sam? What's wrong? Nothing is wrong with him. He's fine. It's not Sam, but... Dad, we're in some trouble now, and I... What trouble? Polizia? He laughed. No, don't be stupid, Dad. I was joking. Anna, tesoro, what is it? You look like in your face. It's serious. I don't know where to start. Anna, tell me, you want me to have another heart attack? Dad, I don't think I've ever asked you for anything. I give you everything. I know you have, Dad, but... This about money? Yes, it is. But also, that's good. I'm relieved. If it's money, it's okay. You can always get more money. If you work hard, you get some money. Anna, I'm relieved. Tesoro. I thought maybe something was wrong with Sam and I. Dad, will you let me finish? You finished. You need money. How much? Dad, it's not as simple as that. Why not? Dad, Joe lost his job. Why? It's complicated. So we sit down and you tell me. He talked the firm into doing something which ended up costing the firm a lot of money. They lost a whole lot of money, and so they took it out on him. Was it honest? What do you mean, honest? Was it illegale? Of course it was legal. Anna, calm yourself. You know I'm going to help you every way I can. But you hear on the news about these things with the big companies. Cassini. I just want to know the everything. Okay, well, I guess you're going to know everything. Good. Dad, you remember I've told you that I'm going to have to go to court to testify about Simon taking Sam? It's coming up soon. But that didn't have nothing to do with you. Yes, and that's what we have to tell them. So there's nothing you can say wrong. I still can't believe it. I liked that Simon. You think you know people. He fooled all of us, eh? Dad, Joe is going to have to testify too. Okay, so he has nothing to hide either. Okay. It's not quite that simple. Why? Dad, when Simon picked up Sam from school that day, he took him back to his place. Yes, I know, you said he didn't touch him or nothing. He didn't touch him, did he? No, but what, Anna? What did he do? Nothing, but there was a woman there. The lorikeets are here. My little lorikeets are here. Yes. Where? Meaning, where was the woman? At Simon's place. So, did she touch him? She didn't touch him, did she? No, she didn't touch him. In fact, it seems that she was actually the one who called the police. So what about the woman? We should thank her. Dad, she's a prostitute. Oh, Simon. Anna, it happens with men. Yes, I read it in the paper. The woman Simon was with was a prostitute. But still, we should thank her, yes? She didn't give Sam drugs or nothing. No drugs. Chocolate milk, I think. Dad, Joe knows her. What do you mean? Joe's been seeing this woman once a week for about 2 years. The putana? Yes. Che bastardo va a morire ammazzato. I probably pronounced that wrong, Italian people. Please forgive me. Anna, I'm very sorry, tesoro. My father came to me and hugged me. I think va amore mori means death. Ammazzato sounds a bit like amazing, but I don't know. But I think he just cursed him to death, people of Earth. Wow. Sometimes it's a bit like that, isn't it? Fortunately, very rarely do my death curses come true, and they're not usually really all that meant in that serious vein. Not usually. Occasionally they're well meant, but then I do intense workings involved in that, which hopefully I don't ever have to do ever again, people of Earth. It's not worth the karma. But there are certain people in my life who were so rotten and evil. I was glad when I got news of their death. Certainly I wasn't sorry. Let's put it delicately that way. My father came to me and hugged me. You're a beautiful girl, you know that? I don't understand him. It's the way men are they? I'm sorry. She was in it with him, this putana. It's not making sense. Then why did she call the police? I don't know, but I had to tell you it's going to come out. What? It'll be in all the papers that Joe knew this woman. I wanted to tell you first, and Mum, Dad, Joe and I, we have big problems. We have problems. Big problems in our marriage. You can get over it. We're probably going to lose the house. Why? Joe will get another job. We're mortgaged up to the roof. You tell him to come and see me. Honest, man to man. I help you with the roof. He'll tell me how much you need until he can get a good job. Why do you need him to tell you? I know how much we need. How much do you need? It's a lot. We own very little. Joe took out a second mortgage. Anna, I tell you, he talks to me and I help him till he finds a good job. Jesus, Dad, it's not that simple. Why not? I think he's planning to leave me. Why do you think this? Dad, he was seeing a prostitute once a week for 2 years. He's a stupid man, Anna. You mustn't think about it. You should make him happy. Try to make him happy. Dad, it's with him. La virilita, le palais. Make him feel a man. He can feel you think he's a Buffoni, Pagliaccio. It's why you have only one kid. Dad, it's a terrible marriage. I didn't choose him. You did. I just pay for the wedding. He comes to me, a man to man. If he tells me the truth with the numbers, I will help him till he can get a good job. You won't lose the house. Also, you have to change your way with him and start to make him happy, like a man again. Maybe you shouldn't be working. Dad, I'm the one with the job. Yes, all right. It's true. He should tell me where the deposit on the first house has gone. This isn't going to work. Anna, you have to try. Look how quickly you're forgiving him everything. I was not forgiving him everything. You must do that. But now we have to face all what is now. What about the putana? Yes, that. Anna. I am sad for you, but what can we do? You chose him. He is your husband and your grandson's and my grandson's father. I will do everything I can for you, Tesoro. And if he leaves, you can make him stay. You're not an old woman. What if I don't want him? You chose him, not me. I know. You just paid for the wedding. See? And it doesn't have to stay like this. I know, Anna. It's what I'm telling you. No, I'm not talking about luring him away from some whore. I'm talking about a separation. Not. Or divorce. Not. Dad, I might not have any say in it. You can have your say, but maybe it's for the best anyway. I could start again and no si fa così, no divorce. It's not our way. Dad, I haven't been religious for years. You said you'd help me. I will help you. I told you. Make him feel a man. You have a son, Anna. Joe is the father. You have to grow up whether you like it or not. Don't be seeing Simon anymore. What are you talking about? I wasn't seeing Simon. But Joe thinks so, yes? Yeah, but he's wrong. Anna, tesoro. Make him happy and he finish with the putana. He comes to me with numbers on paper and I help him with the house. That's not going to happen. He won't talk to you about any of this. Then he won't get the money. He was always too much a big man in the stock market. He is a buffone with a putana. Bastardo. He has to come to me, and then I give him the money. My father could not begin to understand that Joe would never go to him for money, that he'd rather lose the house twice over than humble himself before him. Ask that Italian peasant, and you're not on the title. Are you kidding? What's the time? One more chapter because it's a short one. I'm feeling a bit bloody triggered, quite frankly, but similar toxic relationships with money. And there's nothing like a divorce to make the fucking vampires and the bloodsuckers, including those of your family of origin, kick you when you're down. Been there. Got the t-shirt, still riding through that hellscape 31 years later. Alone in your garden, you will own nothing and be happy. Fuck off, you evil, dirty dogs. They implemented it 30 years ago, maybe even more, 40 or 50 years ago. See also the smashed down Georgia Guidestones if you wonder what it is I'm putting down. But I can hear a baby bird whistling away, and life can and still will be, and up to me how I make it is beautiful. Chapter 19. Prosecuting Simon was easier if you didn't know him. If you had ever known him, you would be far more interested in trying to understand why he had done what he did. But Dr. Klima certainly knew him. Moreover, it was his job to understand him, not to judge him. But it wasn't his job to like Simon, and that he so obviously did made me warm to the psychiatrist in unlikely circumstances. I even envied Simon, his Dr. Klima. I could have used some well-trained and softly spoken professional, a cross between someone standing in loco parentis and an advocate, but this was not our way. I was mock-examined and cross-examined in various people's offices. I was even shown the inside of an empty courtroom. It was apparently as much as they were allowed to do, but it doesn't adequately prepare you for the real thing. A courtroom filled to capacity with lawyers in action, a real judge, inexplicable court staff, a thirsty public and a thirstier media. The real thing also contained Simon. There was some kind of guard or prison officer on either side of him. It was absurd. He didn't look very different at all, which heightened the absurdity of him being guarded. He wore a suit and was maybe a little thinner than I remembered him. I raised the Bible in my right hand and swore by Almighty God, something to do with truth. But my voice faltered in front of all those people. They would not understand how out of character it was for Simon to have done what he did, nor were the proceedings designed to elicit that sort of information. The fact was that he had taken Simon without my permission, and God only knew why. Obviously, things must have gone terribly bad for him since we had been together. There was no other explanation that would deliver my gentle, funny, chaotic, Byronesque university boyfriend to the dock between two guards. The prosecutor, Mr. Henshaw, asked straightforward questions, and I responded with straightforward answers. We had been a couple at university around 10 years ago. We'd gone out for around 2 years. I had barely, if at all, seen him since those days. Yes, that made it impossible for us to have had any kind of relationship, let alone a romantic relationship since then. No, he did not have any permission to take my son from school that day or any day. No, I was at a loss to explain why he had done it. That was the only occasion we looked at each other at the same time. It hurt, and I looked away. Mr. Henshaw's questions were over. What a relief it was to be able to tell the truth. There were no questions about his gentleness back then, or about his sense of humour. I could have told them how we met after his tutorial paper on Billie Holiday. There were no questions about his mother, or about the poets he read, or about Dr. Roth, Dos Passos, and Abe Meeropol. I wasn't given the opportunity to tell the magistrate how Simon had had a silver bracelet designed for me, or how, back then anyway, he possessed a rigorous clarity of thought and an intolerance of cant, which I had often tried to adopt in the subsequent years, without consciously remembering that these too were his gifts to me, along with the bracelet. They were gifts which, if properly cared for, could have gone some of the way towards assuaging the loneliness I bore at home and at the office, but which, instead, were buried underneath piles of every intervening day's leavings and self-deceits. By the time I had sworn on the Bible to tell the truth, and that much of it called for by Mr. Henshaw's questions, only the bracelet was called upon regularly. But neither, it seemed, had Simon called upon these other gifts much recently either. What he had done made no sense, and worse than that, he was probably going to be telling the world that I had been unfaithful to my husband with him, and that my husband had regularly been unfaithful to me with a prostitute they shared. Some of this was true, some of it was not, but I could not think what it was I had done to deserve the humiliation of any of it. Simon's lawyer, a Ms. Sirkin, whom Mr. Henshaw privately referred to as Gina, questioned me next. She was a perfectly groomed woman, some 10 or so years older than me, maybe a little more. She was polite enough, businesslike in her manner, but not what anyone would call friendly. She seemed bright and competent. She would have had to interview Simon about all this over and over. I wondered if she believed him, especially since her questions didn't really get to the heart of the matter. She was asking me questions about my relationship with Simon 10 years ago. All her questions drew me to saying complimentary things about Simon and positive things about the relationship, but I had never denied any of that. None of it had anything to do with his taking of Sam that day, and although I had no qualms about answering her questions, Mr. Henshaw objected to them. Argument as to their relevance allowed me to tune out and reflect on the dissection of our relationship by lawyers in a courtroom full of strangers. If Dr. Klima was in court, he made no attempt to talk to me. I didn't see him, but I was too apprehensive about the proceedings to remember to look out for him. This was something I only thought about later when, looking at myself in the pages of the newspaper, I wondered how long it would take for people to forget about this. There would be people I had known at school, people who had known Simon and me as a couple from our student days, who would never forget. If we met up at 70, they would remember that there was something murky, criminal and vaguely scandalous in my past. Was it this, the scandal, that had made me suddenly repugnant to him, to Michael? I thought of him only at odd moments when my mind strayed from work and I caught myself staring blankly into a distance blocked out by the wall in front of me. Caught also, that's what I felt anyway, by the new girl, a graduate from some school of communications that hadn't existed when I was at university. While I no longer really expected Michael to call, neither did I expect to receive another spate of calls from Simon's Dr. Klima. Perhaps and they were precipitated by my evidence at the committal hearing. But surely they must have expected me to say what I did. To say what I said. I was only telling the truth, after all. Whatever his motivation, I did eventually, out of sympathy for him, I suppose, as a former fellow, unrequited caller, get around to phoning him back. The straws they were grasping at were becoming more and more untenable. He told me, in all seriousness, that Simon had followed Sam and our housekeeper from Sam's school to our home one day, and had seen Sam, fully clothed, fall into our swimming pool and not surface till Simon dragged him out. If Simon hadn't intervened, Dr. Klima explained, it's likely that Sam would have drowned. I reminded him that he had told me this before, that it was still too horrible to contemplate, and that it was also too ridiculous to believe. Why hadn't Sam told me about it? I said goodbye just as the young communications graduate walked past me and smiled. Communications. My father wanted to know when Joe was going to talk to him. We were going to lose the house. Right, I think I'll finish there, people of Earth. I'm both triggered and tired and want to rest and enjoy the rest of my afternoon. And too many memories triggered by both the story and that horrible dream have come up for me, and it's not good, people of Earth. None of it was good. In fact, all of it was utterly demonic. It's why I won't suffer fools or sadists or narcopaths, narcissistic psychopaths, sociopaths. To this very day, I went through too much of that, even in my early marriage as a 19-year-old girl, and I never want to go through any of that ever again in this incarnation or in any future incarnations. If the gods should show some compassion and mercy to me to bestow me a eternity of peace at long last, I would be grateful, but I'm not in control of the universe, and I know I'll probably be tortured like this over and over and over again, and I'm not looking forward to that, people of Earth. But meanwhile, it's a beautiful day, and there's still wonderful and beautiful and kind people out in the world, and I wish to acknowledge you, those of you out there who are decent and kind and respectful and genuinely respectable, not just walking around in a facade cloaked by mink coats and $100 cigars and Mercedes-Benz, Lexuses. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all got something and I must make amends. And, well, I don't care. I don't measure life by what brand of car I drive. And I'm very happy with my little Ainsoft, which badly needs repainting and right now needs a service soon. I'm not impressed by trappings of wealth. I am only ever impressed by soul and heart and people treating me with honour and integrity, and the rest can just go fuck themselves and keep fucking themselves and never darken my doorstep again. Blessed be. Have a happy day no matter what, no matter who. Remember as always to never ever let the bastards grind you down. Bye for now.